Effect of air pollution on materials. Air pollution significantly affects various materials, such as it breaks down or it affects the exterior paint or finishes, or sometimes results into staining of exterior surfaces of automobiles, then houses or constructed facilities, either buildings or um, any other structures like bridges, etc. And then most importantly, it discolors the irreplaceable monuments, historic buildings, marble statues, etc. The best example we can cite here is the discoloration of building like Taj Mahal, right? uh, because of industrialization and very high level of industrial activity, the air quality in that area is considerably lowered, and because of which that color of Taj Mahal changed from pure white marble to into some pale yellow or greenish marble, and this is because of air pollution and followed by the acid rain, etc. Okay, not just discoloration, it could even result into some corrosion or other accelerated corrosion or other deterioration of the various surfaces. And then effects of air pollution on the stratosphere. It's a layer in the atmosphere, and when air pollution when it affects the stratosphere, it results into depletion of ozone layer, and then which is actually a protective coating. And you all know that what happens when that layer is peeled off, and I am not explaining in detail, as assuming that you all know the consequences and effect of depletion of ozone. Kindly go through this. And then prevention, control measures for air pollution, prevention and control of air pollution and identified sources. Broadly, it can be categorized into indoor air pollution, as seen in the figure. It is the confined spaces of our dwelling unit. It could be our dwelling unit, our houses, or it could be the workplace, okay, workspace, where we spend considerable time. Okay, and then it could be industrial. And industrial pollution is something what you see in this picture, and vehicular pollution due to both public and private transport system, we can say, and not just the road, the vehicles on road. It could be ships and other any other. It could be vehicles in the air traffic also could cause this. Fine. And then control measures for air pollution are prevention and control of indoor air pollution. Poor ventilation due to faulty design of building, which lead to pollution of the confined spaces. Sick building syndrome. There is a significant role for the civil engineers and architects in this. When they design a building, they need to ensure sufficient ventilation and ventilators and windows, okay, to ensure proper ventilation and air conditioning. Okay, otherwise that will result into an ill-conditioned space and will adversely affect the occupants. So therefore, in they have to. There are some building bylaws which are formed, which are prepared for region-specific building bylaws, which are available, and engineers or designers are to stick to those applicable or prevailing building bylaws when they do the design. So minimum requirements are to be met anyway, and that takes into account the kind of activity in that space, that takes into account our culture, then that takes into account the climatic conditions of that region, etc. Fine. And else it will lead to something called sick building syndrome, where the productivity of the occupants will be seriously affected because of this, or it could be the health of the general health, mental and physiological and psychological health of the occupants will be very much compromised because of because of occupancy in such ill-designed spaces. And then paints, carpets, furnitures, etc. in rooms, which may give out volatile organic compounds. As you all know, it constitute these paints and other these chemicals, which we apply for on furnitures and walls will have some certain chemicals and organic compounds, and that creates some sort of difficulty for the occupants. And then uses of disinfectant, fumigants, etc., which may result hazardous gases in hospitals, hazardous gases, and in hospitals pathogens present in waste remain in the air in the form of spores. Spores means a single cell which is regenerative in nature, and then which results in hospital acquired infections and is an occupational health hazard. Occupational health hazard means I think it is a hazard, hazardous condition which is prevalent in, which is present in our job site or in our place where we work. Okay, especially in hospitals, it is more hazardous in nature. And in congested area, the slums and rural areas, the burning of firewood and biomass results in a lot of smoke. I think you can read that. Then children and ladies exposed to smoke may suffer from acute respiratory problem. Not just children and lady, anybody who is vulnerable to this will suffer from acute respiratory kind of issues because of air qualities. And then control measures for air pollutions, prevention and control of air pollution, industrial air pollutions are use of cleaner fuels such as liquefied natural gas in power plants, fertilizers plants, etc., which is cheaper in addition to being environmentally friendly. So resorting to some fuels which is environmental friendly as well as which is sustainable. Okay, that's a better option for industrial practices, and then employing environmental friendly industrial processes so that the emissions of pollutants and hazardous waste is minimized. And then installing devices which reduces the release of pollutants, devices like filters, electrostatic precipitators, inertial collectors, scrubbers, gravel bed filters, dry scrubbers, etc. Means we'll see in this coming slide. So these are other some devices which can be employed to reduce the air pollutions, like filters. Okay, we'll see in figures in detail. You can read this here. There is another another device called gravity settlers, where it's a chamber through which we can pass the through the inlet of this chamber we can pass the dust laden gas, and because of gravity, these particles will get collected in the hoppers, and which can be removed, and relatively cleaner gas will exit through the exit outlet. Now control measures, another control measure is by employing cyclone separator. It is again an arrangement through which the dust laden gas could be passed, and this the whole system, it rotates at certain speed, and that will separate out the particle matters from the gas. So relatively cleaner gas will be emitted through the outlet. Okay, this is a cyclonic separator. An electrostatic precipitator is something like this. Okay, I'm not explaining in detail, but how it works is a high charging voltage is applied to the charging rods, and these allow charges to accumulate on the surface of incoming dust particles in the gas. And since there is a potential difference between the charged particles and the collection electrode or plate, these dust particles migrate towards the plate at a velocity depending on the voltage and particle size. So basically we are providing some potential difference between the two rods inside the system, and as a result the charged the particles, finer particles which are having some charge, okay, then ionized, and that will get collected to the rods of opposite charge, and that's and by that we'll be able to filter out some of the particles, okay, finer particles. Now, okay, you can read this chart. Now, what are the various methods of control of various types of industrial practices and its a type of particulate matters and its sources of emission, etc., given in the table. And then this is about filters, and it is only a representation, graphical representation, and there are wide varieties of filters available in 5 layers and 7 layers and all, and which will enable us to filter out various microorganisms and even the odor of the or smell of the gas. Now, apart from the use of above mentioned devices, other control measures are by increasing the height of the chimneys. Okay, especially in industries, when we provide industries of there are some standards actually for industries are to follow certain mandatorily follow certain standards for providing the chimneys and all. So it has to be provided at certain height, else it will get the plumes will get mixed up with the air and it will spread on the entire area. So therefore that again it depends on the location, topographical aspects. It depends on the climatic aspects. Okay, now increasing the height of chimney is one of the ways in which we can reduce the pollutions in that area. And then closing industries which pollute the environment. If there are certain industries which are identified to emit result into high level of pollutions, which are to be shut down. Okay, and then shifting of polluting industries away from cities and heavily polluted areas. So this is when we go for this town planning and all, there is something called zoning. So zoning in industries will be provided in a particular region, and the residential area will be provided in another area. So therefore it will be kept separately. So the whole the area will be region will be divided into different zones, and these there will be separations will be provided from this commercial area, industrial area, and residential area, etc. Okay, and then development and maintenance of green belt of adequate width. Green belt in the sense, when there is a city, when there is an industry, we can provide around that periphery of that industry, we can provide a green belt or some vegetations with certain width, so that it will filter out. It will work like a biofilter. It will isolate those regions from the remaining area. So that kind of green belt could be provided around industries to reduce the pollution. And then control of vehicular pollution. The emission standards of automobiles have been set, which is followed with which, if followed, will reduce the pollution, as you all know. And then standards have been set for the durability of catalytic converters, which reduces vehicular emission. So I think those of you who are familiar with periodically checking your this pollution control certificate for your vehicle and all, I think you will be knowing. They have some means by which they maintain and control this the vehicle and its they check the pollution level and all. So we have to strictly mandatorily get the certificate and clearance from the Pollution Control Board, and then this ensures that level of pollutants emitted from the vehicle exhaust are not beyond the prescribed legal limits. And earlier, lead in the form of tetraethyl lead was added in the petrol to raise the octane level for the smooth running of engines, and addition of lead in petrol has been banned to prevent emission of lead particles with the vehicular emission. So if you look at the ambient air quality standards which is available in net and other sources in their website, you can see that there are certain prescribed maximum levels for various chemicals. So therefore whenever we adopt any of these practices, we have to ensure that it is not it is well within the maximum standards which are set by the regulatory as regulatory constraints, we can say. Then alternate fuels like CNG is being encouraged for use in public transport vehicles, etc. CNG is another compressed natural gases and one better alternative compared to diesel and petrol. As you all know, the diesel, if you compare diesel and petrol, what I could know from the limited from my limited knowledge, what I could understand is the petrol emits hydrocarbons and then carbon monoxide, etc. And whereas diesels, the emission of hydrocarbon and then carbon monoxide, etc. from diesel is relatively less compared to petrol. But the problem is diesel emits more particulate matters and other noxious gases and all. So in both the way, we can't say that one is better than other, because they are contributing. Both the fuels are contributing to the air pollutions. On the other hand, the compressed natural gases have good options, but the problem is there are some other feasibility issues, practical difficulties in implementing it. But still, in some places, they follow this new fuel. I hope we will get a better alternative for this petrol and diesel in the immediate future. And then industrial, if you take the pollution load in Delhi city alone, specifically the 70% of the pollution is caused contributed by the traffic, whereas 20% by the industries, and domestic the pollution, air pollution contribution is only 10%. Fine. Now this is the National Ambient Air Quality Standard, which is available as I said in internet. And then bamboo filtering, biofilter. I think we discussed about I think in the one of the previous slides we discussed about providing a green belt, right? Okay, yeah, green belt. So similarly, we can have in around a city or around a small region, around some industries, we can have some green belt or biofilters like this, natural filters that will reduce the pollution level in other places. And then self-cleaning paints can be applied on various structures as finishes, and thereby it reduces the adverse effect of air pollutions on such structures, we can say. And then continuous ambient air quality monitoring stations at IIT Madras. I think this kind of air quality monitoring system, like our rain gauges and all, we set up such climate meteorological department. They set up various rain measuring devices and other temperature and wind measuring systems and all on top of buildings at various locations, right? The same way, pollution control board also, they can set up these kind of air quality and other this thing, water quality monitoring system can be placed at various critical locations, so that helps us to continuously monitor the conditions of quality of air and water. Okay, with that we'll conclude on the air pollution.